This is cool. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bald Shredder channel. So I've got something that I think is really neat to show you. Guitar shims. What's a guitar shim, you say? Well, it's something that you put in the neck pocket of a guitar. If it's a bolt-on neck, it's not gonna work on a set neck or a neck through, that's for sure. It's gotta be a bolt-on. Anyway, you put it in the neck pocket between the body and the neck to change the angle of the neck, to correct the angle so that it's at the right angle so that you can set the action where you want it. And sometimes it is like 100% absolutely necessary to shim the neck pocket, and sometimes they're way off and you really need to shim it. I've had to do this on a bunch of my guitars, even some of my really nice guitars. Alright, so let me show you what's in the little tin box here. And these came from Amazon, by the way. Okay, so we open it up, I drop the lid, and it's got like basically the little card here, and on the back it's like got some information and some instructions in case you don't know what to do with it. And then inside the package comes with 3 shims, and they're 3 different sizes is what they are. So we take out our shims here, and these are all solid maple. And they do have other shims that you can get, some that are made of metal, some that are made of plastic. I would prefer to use the ones that are made of wood, and that's because your guitar body is wood, your guitar neck is wood, and so I just think it's better to have that whole complete connection there from neck to body, and whatever's going to be in between, I think it's good for it to also be wood. So the smallest one, the thinnest one, is what they say is a 0.25 degree angle. So it's really thin, and when you're just looking at it, like eyeballing it, it doesn't even look like it has much of an angle to it, but it does. And then we've got a 0.5 degree angle on this one, so you can see it's getting a little thicker on the top end. And then finally on this one, it is 1 degree. So this would be the thickest one on this side of it. So these are all tapered, guys. They're all tapered so that on this end, like towards the guitar body, it's gonna be thicker and tapering down sort of like as a triangular shape. And that's what you want in a neck shim. Before having these guys, which I haven't used yet, so any of my guitars that I have shimmed the neck, which I said has been quite a few, I've always used like a piece of construction paper. And when I've done that, the construction paper is not this size because I can't take a piece of construction paper and taper it so that it goes like that, right? It's just gonna be the same thickness. So what I've ended up doing is I would cut like just a little strip to put it all the way in the back of the neck pocket, not the whole length of the neck pocket, because I just want to make the neck, you know, go a tiny bit like that. I want the butt end, the back end, to just bump up just a tad. And depending on the amount of shim that I need, sometimes I put 1 little strip of construction paper, maybe 2, and in like extreme cases, maybe 3 pieces. Now I know you might be saying like, well, why do you even need those? Why don't you just continue to use construction paper? Well, the reason is if I put a little piece of construction paper in the back, right, it's only gonna be about that wide. It's not gonna go all the way to the end pocket. So there's gonna be a tiny gap from where the paper ends to the end of the neck pocket, because again, the paper's not going all the way. It's not even really visible. You know, when I put the paper in there and I bolt the neck on, you can't really see. I mean, if you had a magnifying glass, maybe, but there's gonna be literally a microscopic gap from the end of the construction paper up to the end of the neck pocket, because the paper stops, right? But these, since they go all the way, that connection is maintained all the way to the end of the neck pocket. And maybe, just maybe, that's gonna help with like sustain, the sound, things like that, because you've got that wood connection now all the way through and no empty gaps in there, no matter how small they might be, but there's gonna be no gaps because this thing goes the full length of the neck pocket. So I think that's what the benefit is. Plus, this is maple, it's not paper. All right, enough of me jabbering. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab one of my guitars, I'm gonna unbolt the neck, take it off, and see if I can stick one of these in there and then bolt it back in and just show you guys how easy it is to use one of these. You guys remember this guitar? So I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt the neck now. Here we go. All right, we got the neck off. Now, let me show you what I did on this one. I actually forgot how I shimmed this one. I did this one in, see if I can put the neck over here without scratching anything. Yeah. Okay. So I initially did like a longer piece like this, but it's not long enough to cover the whole neck pocket. And then at the end, I put 2 additional pieces because this one needed to be shimmed quite a bit. So I've got like 3 layers of shim at the end, pushing the butt of the guitar neck up. And what I'm thinking, because I did 3 layers, I'm gonna maybe probably want to use the biggest one on this one, and that would be the 1 degree. So I'm gonna put the 1 degree in there and see how that looks. Okay guys, so as you can see, it now fits in the neck pocket. I sanded both of the corners on the back end so it slides all the way back. And I also had to do some sanding in the 4 little holes there where the bolts come through because they weren't lined up exactly correctly. But again, it's made of wood, and that's how it's designed, so that you can get in there and sand those holes back in any direction so that the holes are big enough so where the bolts will come through. And I did that too. And it only took a few minutes. It didn't take that long. So I've now got the shim in the pocket. I got the neck back in there, and I'm gonna take my screwdriver here and I'm gonna reattach it, and let's see what happens. Here we go. And looking at it and looking where the strings are, I haven't tightened up the strings and tuned it, but it's looking like I probably shouldn't have used the thickest one. I realized that the shim that I used the first time, I used the biggest one, and it was just too big. Pretty much it raised up the neck too high, and I couldn't really set the action by adjusting the saddles to get it in the right position. I just couldn't get them high enough, and the neck was just too high up. So what I did was I took out that shim, and then I ended up putting in the middle size one, and that worked perfectly. Take a look at the picture here. You can see the shim in the neck pocket, and I did have to sand on the little holes there so that, you know, they lined up properly with the screws that were coming through from the back of the guitar. So after doing that, bolted it back up, tightened up the strings, and then I adjusted the saddles, and now guys, it is absolutely perfect. It's actually much better than it was before when I just had the shims in there with the construction paper. So for whatever reason, well, I know the reason, because the shim is the full length of the neck pocket now, but because of that reason, and because the thickness now I guess is just basically perfect, and the neck angle is perfect, better than it was before, now this guitar plays way better. It's way more comfortable. I was able to get the action lower in a better position for me, and it just plays way better, and it's just much more enjoyable to play. So I did a little shred sample on this so you can check it out. Here it is. Now for anybody that is curious about this guitar, what it is or anything, I did do a couple of videos on this a while back. This Strat copy was a $62 guitar from eBay, but the pickguard and the pickups, it's a loaded pickguard from 920D Custom, really nice, made in the USA, good quality pickups and pickguard, and I put it on the $62 Strat. So if you want to check out that video, I'll put a link at the end. Alright guys, so if you want to check out these shims, they sell for $15.99 on Amazon, the set of 3. And that's a really good price. If you check the other ones that are on there, there's a set from Stu Mac, and it's like 3 times the price for pretty much the same thing. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.